Welcome to today's deep dive into the realm of wisdom. We're in Ecclesiastes. We're looking at chapter 3 and verses 16 and 17. And I saw something else under the sun. In the place of judgment, wickedness was there. And in the place of justice, wickedness was there. I thought in my heart, God will bring to judgment both the righteous and the wicked, for there will be a time for every activity, a time for every deed. So once again, the teacher acknowledges a time for every activity and every deed that is done upon the earth. However, this time he introduces us to something new: judgment. Judgment and justice go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. In fact, the spirit of justice and the spirit of truth are identical. And if truth is identical to justice, then we're talking about reality. Without justice, there is no truth, and without truth, there is no reality, and therefore everything is meaningless. This is why, when it seems that injustice is taking place, in the legal system especially, that everybody throws their hands up in the air and says, what's the use? What's the point? If that's corrupt, then there's no helping us. And it's because we associate truth, justice, and reality together. And when justice is seen to be corrupt, or when there is wickedness in its place, then it feels as though life is meaningless. Society is comprised of people agreeing together about what is right and wrong. We don't have to agree about everything, but we must agree upon crucial areas. And the justice or judicial system operates within the boundaries, the circumference of these priorities. It's no small thing to challenge rights and wrongs. You're challenging the fabric of society. When somebody is not playing by the rules, these rules are nestled in a set of values or a value system. And the value system is nested in a set of metaphysical beliefs. In other words, God. And when somebody is not playing by the rules, we don't like it, but we don't recognize the association of why we don't like it. It's because they're transgressing the knowledge and directives that God has set in place for us upon the earth, for mankind, for humanity. The rules become the laws that govern society. So when Paul says, obey the government, for God is the one who put them there, he's saying that all law and order originate in heaven, and that God is judge over all. And the judicial system is in place to establish or to maintain or to restore order whenever anything is out of order. Order is a judicial term. Order in the court, or you're out of order. It's interesting that the church is also a place where there needs to be order. It's because that's where God presides. Justice also operates at a personal level. What happens when you're offended? You might get angry or feel ashamed, or you might react, or you might feel broken. You might lash out or go quiet and try to process, why has there been this sudden attack upon my character? But while you're doing all of that, think about why you are offended in the first place. What's going on? Offense is a reaction to a sense of disrespect. You got to show a little respect. Someone or something is not respecting you. But what exactly is it about you that they're not respecting? Is it your background, or the color of your skin, or your education, or your sex, or your position, your status, or your identity, or your culture, or your faith? What is actually under attack are your rights. Everybody believes that they have rights. And when we say we have rights, we're saying these are the areas that I'm right about, and you'd better respect where I'm right, or you'll soon know about it. And I may not be able to articulate where I'm right, but I'll know immediately when you're transgressing or crossing the line, the boundary where my rights are held, because I'll suddenly react. And these rights that we feel have come from somewhere. They are nested in a set of values, a value system. And these values are nestled in a set of metaphysical beliefs. In other words, they're in God. They come from God. Now, when somebody offends you and you object, you are using a judicial term. I object. And you're demanding justice, a restoration of order between you and the other person. Order in your world, your personal world. But what if they were to reply, you're being hypersensitive? Loosen up. Stop being so temperamental. Or if they just walk away and go, phew, you're crazy. How do you know that your offense is legitimate? That you can have that objection sustained in your favor? Well, the answer to that is not easily ascertained. Sometimes we need help. Sometimes we wind up in court trying to figure this out. Or if you're in church, you might seek the help of your shepherds. But justice must be exercised, otherwise there is a breakdown in order in the world. And a breakdown in order in the world is a descent into disorder. And if you have enough disorder, then you'll end up with chaos. The teacher's saying, wherever justice and judgment are not exercised, in its place will enter chaos, wickedness, disorder, evil. And the new atheists bark like dogs at God, bark like dogs at God for being harsh and imperial, for being a judge. But the simple truth is that the only way to keep wickedness at bay is to exercise justice, and to have justice, there's got to be a judge. Now, wickedness will always fill the vacuum. Every void produces hatred and violence. The only protection is the presence of divine righteousness. Now, you might see it in the form of law and order. Nevertheless, behind that is divine judgment and justice and righteousness. Now, the moral relativists believe everybody has their own truth, but they've got a real problem with justice because there's no reason why one person's idea regarding what is right is better than another. They have no optimal framework for ascertaining values or rights or what is right and what is wrong, because having an optimal framework requires an optimal belief system, and an optimal belief system requires God. Moral relativism demands every individual has the right to live according to their own truth, yet at the same time they destroy the very possibility of truth and justice, because to them everything is relative. You have your own truth, and so they collapse in a heap of their own wording and profession. The teacher informs us that there is coming a time of judgment. There is a time for everything and a time for judgment. Everything we've been doing and everything that has been done to us will one day be judged. And keep in mind, nobody gets away with anything. All the sociopaths and all the psychopaths and all the narcissists who thought they could use people and do whatever they wanted to, and to hell with the consequences, will find themselves one day having to give an account for their behavior, because God has reserved for himself a day of judgment. Now, this is fascinating because it says that God will call the past into account. And so this means that your past has present value. And it also means that your present affects your past. So you look back at your past according to where you are in the present. Now, if in the present you can know that there is a judge who calls the shots and who's going to make all things right, then you can see your past through the framework or the lens or the spectacles of righteous judgment of what is right and what is wrong. And so you no longer need to be upset. You can let it go. You no longer need to be worried. Let it go, because God is going to deal with all of those things. Yes. This is good news, because on the judgment day, everything that's been wrong is going to be made right. And you can start to enjoy that in the here and now. Think about it. Justice is a supernatural virtue, and it consists of behaving exactly. Oh, now, listen to this. If you want to understand the true nature of the supernatural aspect of justice, then understand it means that you are going to behave exactly as though there were equality when the one who is stronger is in an unequal relationship. I can tell that I'll have to repeat that. The fact that justice is a supernatural thing, that it has a supernatural component, means this. When you have got two people, and one is in a position of strength and the other is in a position of weakness, then supernatural justice is seen when the one who is in the position of strength treats the one who is in the place of weakness as though they're equals. Yes. And that's exactly what the justice system is meant to be doing. Meant to be treating everybody as equals. Everybody equal in the eyes of the law. That's what it's meant to be doing. But it also pertains to how we treat people in life, that we don't look down on people. And that anybody that we find in life that has been mistreated and abused, and that is feeling as though they're sitting lower on the socioeconomic ladder than what perhaps you are, it means it's your role in life, if you're going to exercise justice, to lift them up and help them to see that they are of equal value as yourself, to help them to do that with word and with deed and with attitude and with grace and with the blessing of God. And tomorrow we're going to have more wisdom from the book of Ecclesiastes, and Solomon's going to be teaching us more. I'm excited for more wisdom coming into my life as we look further and deeper into the great book of Ecclesiastes. God bless you. See you tomorrow.